Okay, so we're on that mem test, and the sugya about mevulodos. The Mishnah said that the animal is part of the mevulodos, and the Gemara, the Dik in the Mishnah that the absolutely part of the mevulodos, no difference if it's mechavan for the woman or not. Just to point out that we learned the sugya before about the Bava, and the way we learned Rashi. So then our Gemara is very difficult because everybody holds over there that an animal is part of the mevulodos. Only is a question about kamma rabbi, something within kamma rabbi. Taisus asks a kasha over there from our Gemara that is mashma that according to Bava, there would be mevaladis for an animal that was mechaven. And anyway, we pass like Avada Barava, but it's to point out that Agamar is against Rashi. The way we learned the Gemara over there doesn't fit so well because Agamar sounds like only Avada Barava holds that Ashar is part of the mevaladis. According to Rashi Strat over there, everybody held to that. It was only a side issue that they were arguing about. So this brings right from Agamara that according to Bava, there would be the mevaladis. But even according to him, we pass like Avada Barava, that is not. The next Gemara spoke about a shifcha. Shifcha is considered regular money, and the uber, everyone holds that you even though shor is part from the mevados, that's only baschorin. But if it would be a shifcha, so then it's considered money, and it would be mevados even for an animal. The Mishnah case for child mevados was a machlokus between Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. The idea, but the Gemara explained that Rabbi Shimon, the Rabbanan say that the way you evaluate it is by the difference between how much she was worth when she was pregnant and now that she's not pregnant anymore, how much she the depreciated. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel seems to say that that's not the facts. The facts to go to the slave market and see that she's worth more after she is not pregnant because it's a sakana that she might die. So that wouldn't be a way to evaluate. The way you evaluate it is going to be by how much someone would be willing to buy the blood on the chance that he might get it. I didn't have clarity yesterday. I didn't say differently, but just uh, just to say the pshat that when the person owns the shifra, so when he talks about, of course, there's a chance to get a vlad, but there might be a loss that he might lose the whole shifra. So Rav Shimon Gamliel says that outweighs the possibility that might lose the shifra outweighs how much the blood will be worth. When you talk, so therefore he says you talk about an outsider. The outsider that buys the blood, it's true. He knows he might get the blood, might not get the blood. That all goes into the cheshbon how much the blood is worth, the fetus is worth. But he doesn't have the possibility he might lose the shifra. So just understanding the lumdus of how come it works when he's not having a chance to lose the shifra. So then there is a value to the blood, surely. But the owner of the shifra, if you say that the chance that she might die outweighs the benefit that he might have of blood. Okay. So Hashem Gamliel says you do them the mevaladers. So just the next Gemara was Rab Shimon Gamliel. The words weren't so clear because it's much better. Rab Shimon Gamliel saying that according to you, the woman gets worth more after she gives birth, and that's not true. On the contrary, and the Gemara says that's what I meant to say. But the problem over here. Maybe we'll start again from this Gemara because the Gemara had we did already talk about Vakeros yesterday. Okay, the point would be that Reb Shimon Gamliel holds that the woman gets worth more. So on the contrary, she wasn't depreciated at all, and that's what one Brisa says. That Rabbanan said that the way you evaluate how much she was worth when she was pregnant and how much she's worth less now that she's not pregnant, and Reb Shimon Gamliel says doesn't make sense because she gets worth more after she's not pregnant anymore and she's safely alive. So she's worth more than when she was at risk. Another Brisa, the problem is the other Brisa. The other Brisa says maybe we start from here. Rava Amar. Rava Amar Ochakitani. So Rashi points out that there's two issues. One is the shvach v'lodos, one is the mei v'lodos, which the Gemara said earlier also, that the shvach v'lodos, which I don't understand so much, but that's the way it is, that when a woman looks bigger, so she's worth more, just for the looks, even though really, as far as working, you could talk about what's considered beauty for a woman, and nowadays it's considered slim. In those days, it was considered that she's more beautiful when she's big. But that's all as far as a woman. But as far as a shivcha, l'chori, only look at how much she could work. And when she's pregnant, she can't work as much. But for some reason, it's not like that. People look and they say, "Oh, a big woman," and she thinks that she could work more. Even though that's like all kind of advertisements that everyone knows that it's sheker, but they're impressed by the way that it looks. So they say a big shivcha is worth more. That's called shvach v'lados. The v'lados means how much somebody would pay for the vlad and the chance that he'll be able to get the vlad if the vlad is born healthy, alive. So Rav was pointing out that Rav explains that Rav Shimon Gamliel's argument on the Rabbanan was that you're talking about also not only the Mevelados. I talk about the Mevelados. You go to the market, how much somebody would be willing to pay for the vlad, on the chance that it's going to live, they'll be born and live. But you're saying you take into account how much the woman was worth when she's pregnant and how much now that she's not pregnant. She went down. According to the second Rav, Rav is going to say that he agrees to that point. He agrees to the point that the woman gets worth less when after she's not pregnant anymore, which is going to contradict the other Rav Shimon Gamliel. The Gemara is going to get to that. But here he agrees to them. According to this version, he does agree to the Rabbana that the woman gets worth less after she's not pregnant anymore. But as time it was, how come you're giving that? Not only the Mabel others are you giving to the husband, you're also giving the shvach others. How much the woman is worth more when she's big, and that Rav Shimon Gamliel says that it's not fair to give it to the husband. She also has a claim to that. That Mevlad the Torah gives to the husband, but the Shvach Vlad Torah never talks about. So just a limb, and the Gemara understands it's only the Mevlad. You don't have any right to say that the Shvach Vlad goes to the husband also, and therefore that should go half and half. Both the woman and the husband, both the boel, are both have a right to the improvement that she has because she is pregnant. How much improvement she has. So that's Rabbi's pshat. Rabbi Amar Hachikitani. It doesn't fit into the words so smooth. Does the improvement of the woman only go to the husband, and she doesn't have any right to that? Ella, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel argues and says that goes to both of them. How much the vlad is worth? It goes to the husband. You go how much? You go to the market. How much somebody would be paying to pay for the vlad, and that time it goes to the husband. But the shvach vlad is cholkin. Both of them have a chelik in how much the woman is improved because of the pregnancy, and therefore that applies to both of them. Tani Namayachid is a price like that also. That's very important. If it will be two pshatim, Rabba over here, and Rabba two pshatim, so okay, machlokas how to learn Rav Shimon Gamliel. But each man had a price. Tani Namayachid for the first pshat, and Tani Namayachid for the second shot. That's going to become Mastira Rav Shimon Gamliel. Rav Shimon Gamliel, v'chisha l'misha, let us any right to the improvement of herself. Not fair. El Shemon Nezik b'fnei atzma, b'saber b'fnei atzma, Shemon Nesav Lodas, v'nos Labal. So the Nezik and the Tsar go to the woman. That wasn't our subject so much, but anything that the woman, any damage the woman got to her body goes to herself. Also the Tsar, how much she suffered from the pain, also goes to her. Husband doesn't get that. Of course, he can invest it. The money is invested and he makes payments on it, but the money itself belongs to the woman. The Vlados go to the husband, and the Shvach Vlados Chokin. So that's what Rav's prat. He puts it into the Mishnah also. But now the Gemara says, Kasha Reb Shimon Gamliel, Reb Shimon Gamliel. Because the question is, does the woman improve or does she not? Kasha Reb Shimon Gamliel, Reb Shimon Gamliel. According to one version, one bride, not one version, one bride, Reb Shimon Gamliel says that on the contrary, after she gives birth, she's worth more. And other brides seem to give in that she's worth less. The only question was who the Shvach V'Ladas goes to. So it's a contradiction in Reb Shimon Gamliel. Lo Kasha. When this as far as we got yesterday, and the answer was that the first time she's giving birth, and she's giving birth to a Bechor, that's called Mavakeres, the woman who has never given birth yet, and now she's going to give birth to her firstborn. That's very dangerous. And over there, Shem Gamliel says that she's on the contrary, she's worth more after she gives birth, and therefore there wouldn't be a cheshbon at all. You want to calculate how much she owes, and you're going to say how much she's worth more. On the contrary, she's worth less. On the contrary, she's worth more. That's one price. That's one thing. And Shem Gamliel agrees that once she gave birth once before, so then she's not so much sakana anymore to give birth a second time, and therefore there would be a cheshbon to calculate how much she was worth before and how much she's worth less now after she's had a miss. But he argues, but that the shvach should go to both of them, not only to the husband. So the attack two issues, and it's not a statement of Shem Gamliel. Two kinds of women. There's Mavakeres over there. He says that the only there's no shvach on the woman, and when the shvach on the woman, if it wouldn't be the first time around, it wouldn't be the first child, then the argument says that the shvach v'lodas divides to both of them. The male v'lodas goes to the husband, and the shvach v'lodas goes to both of them. As far as we got yesterday, but we're in the middle of talking. Now it comes out that everyone say that the husband gets the whole shvach v'lodas, and that's what Shem Gamliel's kasha. Why should he get it? Both of them should get it. Where did they get it from? Where did they get that the shvach v'lodas also goes to the husband? I'm sorry. Kiritnan, I guess. It says in the pasuk They then were fighting, and by mistake they hit a woman, a pregnant woman, and she had a miss. So it says Isha hara v'yasu yilada. The one says that the Isha hara is superfluous. If it would have said that they hit the woman and she had a miscarriage, obviously she was pregnant. You don't have to say they hit a pregnant woman and she had a miscarriage. If it says she had a miscarriage, that means that she was pregnant. So it's an extra word. Matam lama hara. Why does it have to say that she was pregnant? It's an extra word. That's coming to tell you that the pregnancy means that that's extra word to tell you that how much the pregnancy is worth means not the vlad, besides the vlad, just the fact that the woman is improved because she's pregnant, that also goes to the husband also. But Shimon Gamliel doesn't need it, doesn't dash in that. He says that the pasuk doesn't talk about it, and therefore it goes to both of them. So what does he do with the pasuk extra word hora? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, hi hora, my daughter. What is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel going to do with the extra word that she's pregnant? Of course she's pregnant. It says that she had a miscarriage. A different point, which probably everybody agrees to. That the pasuk comes to say that she's pregnant in order to say that the only chayyim for the May blood is if they hit her in the area of the pregnancy around the womb. But if they would have hit her someplace else on her body by mistake, and as a result she had a miscarriage, that could be more like a groma. It wasn't called direct, and then they'd be putter. Usually, a person may be okay. A groma is usually putter in the other shamayim. But here it's saying this point that if they hit her someplace else on her body and she had a miscarriage, it wouldn't be chayiv mei blood. It's only chayiv if it was connected basically. It could be that Rabban also agree to that, but Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says you have to have a pasuk. That's what they do with the word hara. Amra papa lo tema connected basically hamish el kolecha the saluk b'shich mol vlad la fuke yad v'regel delo. Rabbi Papa's coming to explain that even though it says only chayiv if they hit her connected base ariona, the place where the pregnancy is, the womb, it doesn't mean mamish. It doesn't mean it has to be a direct hit. Any place where the word shechma means warmth, any place where it causes warmth to the child, however you're going to translate that. So that's also considered connected based around the chayv the and only means to exclude the hands, the feet, but the trunk of the body is considered connected based around even if it's not mamish connected the womb. But if it will be on the hands or the feet, even though she had a miscarriage, is not attributed to his makkah, not a direct hit, and therefore they wouldn't be chayv the So this was a side point. It came out as a point about shvach v'lodos. It's not a side point. It could be the Mishnah Mamish that a shvach v'lodos is a machlokas who goes to, according to Rabban, it goes to the husband. According to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, it doesn't talk about it, and therefore it's divided to both of them. The Mishnah continued about if the husband was a ger. And we said interesting that the Mishnah, the way it describes it, is that the woman was a shifcha mishachreres or a gioris. That's another way of saying that the husband was a eved mishachrer or a ger. And that's just the way the Mishnah talks. Because usually, again, the shidduch goes that they were married the same type. Anybody, they marry a Rosh Hashiva, marries a Rosh Hashiva, whatever it is. So, Gioris marries a ger, and a shifcha mishachreres marries a eved mishachrer. So really, that's all the Mishnah means. We don't care what the woman is. I think Gemara is going to say beferish later on. It could even be Yisrael's married to a ger. Told them as made this goes to the husband, and the Mishnah is talking about a case where the husband died. So it says that if the husband dies, then it goes to the Yorshim. If he has no Yorshim, so it talked about a ger that has no Yorshim, so then it'll go. Then he's putter. Then the one who hit her is putter because there's nobody to pay. So it's interesting how the Mishnah expressed itself by saying a Yoris when it really just means the husband is a ger. Okay. Now, the Mishnah says that if there's a ger, if the husband was a ger and he died, so the one who hit her is part of the Mevladas because there's nobody to pay to. He has no Yorshim. But the Rabbi talks about this only if the Makkah that he hit her in the life of the ger, he was still alive, and then he died before payment. So then he's pater. Why is he pater? Because the money goes to the ger, and the ger died. He has no Yorshim. What if he hit her after the ger died? There was a woman who was pregnant from her late husband, but he died. The husband died, and now somebody hit her. So is it mevalodus or not? There's no husband. A regular person has no husband. A woman has no husband, so then it'll go to the Yorshim, even if they hit her after he died. But by this ger that has no Yorshim, the Gemara is going to talk about is there a schus in the mevalodus. Again, maybe I'll just try to highlight part was trying to. Rabbi says, this is Rabbi. Rabbi says, "Chava bolach mitzvah zager, zach yala ihi begavayu, u'machayiv l'shlumi lo l'dida." That if he hit the woman that has a husband, no husband, the husband was a ger and has no yorshim. So Rabbi says that then the money's going to go to her. And so, again, I didn't explain the way the Gemara said it. The case in the Mishnah that the one who hit her is potter is only if he hit her in the lifetime of the ger died. Over there is potter. Why is he potter? Given the Chava B'Chaya ger, since he hit her in the lifetime of the ger, so Zocha B'Hu ger, automatically he's chayiv the money to the ger, and now that the ger died, so then it's hefker. Chiv the Mesa ger, Zocha B'Hu Min ger. So the makeh, the one who hit her, is potter because he owes the ger money, and now that the ger, like anybody that owes the ger money that has no yorshim and he dies, so then he doesn't know him anymore, nobody to pay. So here, if the one who hit the woman was in the lifetime of the ger, so the ger is owed money, and now that the ger died, he's not owed any money. But what if he hit her after Misas Ger, so the ger is out of the picture? And Rava says that the woman does have a right to it. There's no husband, and there's no yorshim. So then the Mevlodas does go to the woman. This is Rava's chiddush. Rabba's chiddush. That even though the Torah says that Mevlodas goes to the husband, that's only because there's a husband. But if there's no husband, no yorshim, then it goes to her. Rav Chisda argues. I'm Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda was upset about this. I'm Rav Chisda. Mori Dechi. Rashi says the one who said this. Mori means like the Baal Hashmu Azot. The word Dechi means this. Rashi brings a source from the Targum and the word Halazeh. And it's like, who's the one who said this? Not, he doesn't say who. He says like Baal Hashmu Hazos. Out of Velados throwing in Bezachi Buhu. Are the Velados is the fetus, a package of money that if there's no husband that gets it, so it goes to the husband, goes to the wife, means that Rav understood that the Mevlados surely a chayiv. The chiddush of the pasuk was that it goes to the husband. But if there's no husband, so then the woman, she has it in her womb. She has money, and therefore she should get it. If there's no husband, no yosher, so it goes to her. But Rav Chis is saying no. The whole thing is a chiddush. The thing is not a money. There's no the Torah was machadish. The whole obligation to pay Mevlados is a chiddush of the pasuk, and if there's nobody to pay, so then there's nobody to pay. Is the Vlados a package of money, the Zachibu, and she can get it? No. If the husband is around, the Torah gave him something of the Torah's Machadesh. The Torah invented this new payment of Mei Vlados. It's only if there's a husband or Yarshim, but less of the But if there's no husband, there's no Chiv at all. So Machlokish of Chisda, just to highlight something for Chisda, less of the that if there's no husband, so then there's no Chiv at all. That's Machlokish Rabbah. And if Chisda Rabbah holds that the blood is considered money, and if there's no husband or yorshim, it goes to the woman. And Rav Chisda says no, if there's no husband or woman, so there's no chiyuv at all, and the one who did it doesn't have to pay. Meisvei Akasha from a brisa, if someone would hit a woman and she had a miscarriage, no say nezik b'tzal that's pasha, that any even if it wouldn't be pregnant, the nezik and the tsar of the woman, her body herself, goes to the woman. Mevlados labal, good. That the mevlad, that's what the Torah says that how much the vlad is worth goes to the husband. Ain't a baal no sin Yorsha. Okay, if he has Yorshim, so then if there's no husband, it goes to the Yorshim. Ain't no Isha no sin Yorsha. If there's no woman, the woman died, so then it goes to her Yorshim. That we spoke about the Nezik and the Tsar. They're supposed to go to the woman, but if not, then it goes to her Yorshim. And here, what are we going to say? That the husband doesn't. Yeah, it was her money. It's her money. The husband only has pays out of it, and now it's not going to be. He's not going to yashin her. Why is that? Why doesn't the husband yashin his wife on this? I think we spoke about it once upon a time. Why?
Roy?
Oh, that's it. And the husband doesn't yashin the wife in Roy. Mm-hmm.
That the husband died?
The husband died. I think not.
Well, when it says
Here it says that the woman. Here it says Eina Isha.
If there's no
Eina
woman,
Baal knows only Yoshua. No woman. She died, but the husband is around. But it says it goes to her Yashim, but doesn't go to.
oh, I thought it meant
it goes to her Yashim.
if there's no Baal, it goes to the Yorshav. And then I assumed if there's no Baal and there's no woman, it'll go to her Yorshav.
Why does it go to his Yashim?
Because he's not around, or he doesn't have any.
So it should go to his. So why doesn't it go to his Yashim?
He doesn't have any.
That's not the case over here. It said a second ago that
Oh, Kim no Begrusha said on this.
Is that on this? No, huh?
If the Baal is alive, then what do we care that the woman is not alive? It would go to the Baal. What does it mean it would go to her
No,
Yorshim?
we're talking about the Nezek and the Tsar. We're not talking about the Mabel Others. We're talking about the Nezek and the Tsar, which is supposed to go to the woman. And then it says if the woman is not there, then it goes to her Yarshim and not to the husband. That's the Gemara before on Daf Mem Beis that says Ein Abal Loto B'Roike B'Muzik. That was talking about. And that's the Gemara's Kashi is that it goes. I just have to read the Gemara second over there. I lost it. When the Zakin low. The Gemara says that Kofer. I'm just going over the Gemara over there. The Gemara said that Kofer, the Chiv only comes after death and therefore is considered Roy. But other things is not considered Roy, and the husband would Yashin. But when the Zakin low, the Gemara brings this Bryce says mashma that the Zakin also goes to her Yashin, not to him. That the Gemara says, like Rav Nissen said, that I'm a Rabba Big Busha. And economic really it goes to the husband. But if she was divorced, so then the husband doesn't yashin her, and that therefore goes to her yashin. But economic would go to the husband. Okay. So that was a side point. It's not our Gemara's issue by us. I just we had it before, so I should have known it.
Isn't this
what does the Gemara want? Yes,
Yaakov,
is that good?
Isn't this a Kasha on Rav Hista? That's what I thought I was getting out of this.
It is, but we didn't get there yet. The Kasha is going to be the next point. This rest of the Bryce was not the point. The point is going to be the Bryce says now, that's going to be the Kasha. That was the Machokish of Chris and Rabbah. If there's no husband, that means no husband with no Yorshim, there's a ger that doesn't have Yorshim. Does the woman get it or not? And that was Machlokis. Rabbah said, yes, it's going to go to the woman. Rav Chisda said, no, if there's no husband, no Yorshim, then there's no Chiyuv at all. So that's what the Gemara wants from this part. The kasha is going to be from this part of the Brisa. That says, Ogioris, which means that there's a husband who has no Yorshim, Zacha, the person who the mazik doesn't have to pay. And the kasha is that according to Rabbah, he does have to pay. It goes to the woman. If Chisda says this, he doesn't have to pay, so therefore Zacha. The mazik doesn't have to pay. Zacha, he keep his money because there's nobody to pay. But the kasha is that goes against the Rabbah. Rabbah says he does have to pay. The answer is Amri. They said the answer. What's the kasha? That's what Rabbah said. Rabbah said there's a case where he's going to be potter if he hit her while the husband was still alive. The husband ger was still alive, and therefore he's obligated to the ger, and then the ger died. So then he could be zochem and hefker. The one who hit her gets the money because he's owed to the ger. Now the ger died. But that's what Rabbah said. But if he would have hit her after the ger died, then it goes to him. So there's no kasha from this brisa. Taisus point. Usually more would ask the kasha. So what did you think? It's a pasha of the teres. So Taisus says that it's much more over here more. That what? This is Taisus kasha. Mishum dehach brisa katani nezek v'tzar. So it's mashma that there's no difference when it happened. The Gemara thought that maybe there's a diak over here that it's talking even if the ger had died already. But the Gemara is matcha. The Gemara is not impressed. Rabbi could say the Bryce is only talking about if he hit her during the husband's lifetime. That's why the makeh is putter. But if he hit her after the ger died, so then there's no chiyuv at all. Then I'm sorry. Then who's talking? I'm sorry, I got mixed up. Rabbi, we're attacking Rabbi. Rabbi says that there is a chiyuv, and this Bryce says there's no chiyuv. Because say the Bryce is talking about if he hit her the ger, and therefore he doesn't have to pay her because he's zoch from the ger. But if he hit her after Mises ger, so then it goes to her. Right. Iboy Sema, Lacha Mises ger, Utani Zachsa. So he changed the word. It says Zacha. Zacha means that the one who hit her doesn't have to pay. But he puts in a tuck, and instead of Zacha, that he gets the money, Zachsa means that she gets the money. That means that it says perish like him. So it's a big amendment in the brisa, a big change in the brisa. Rabbi was doing one letter. One letter. That's why I changed one letter, and instead of he, it's she. And therefore, the Rabbi gets out of discussion. Lema katanoi. So again, the machlok is a package of money, and according to Rav Chisda, it's not a package of money, and there's no chiyuv at all. The Torah only uses machadesh the chiyuv if there's a husband. If there's no husband, there's no chiyuv at all. And according to Rabbah, it is the Torah wasn't machadesh; it's a package of money. The Torah says it is a package of money. It's worth money. The chiddush was who it goes to. It goes to the husband. If there's no husband, it goes to her. The Gemara thinks that it has a machlokas tanam about this issue. Rabbah and Chisda. It says in the brisa Bas Yisrael shenisays leger. That's our case. Agav it says Bas Yisrael, which is different than the whole time we're talking about the whole time. Giora shenisays leger. As Rashi said, it doesn't really make a difference. It's only a way of talking the normal shidduchim that a Giora marries a ger. But it does make a difference if we Bas Yisrael married a ger, be the same thing. That the ger doesn't have yorshim. The nisar mimenu, she got impregnated from him. B'choval ba b'chaye hager. No sin dmei v'lodas leger. If he hit her while the ger was still alive, so then he has to pay to the ger. And if the ger dies, so then the makeh will be potter because the ger doesn't have any yorshim. So he automatically, it's like he owes the ger money, and now the ger dies, so he doesn't owe money anymore. But this is the case we're getting to now. If he hit her after the ger died, which is mamash machlokas of Chisda and Rabbah. Tani chode chayiv, tani chode potter. Mamash machlokas. So chayiv is like Rabbah that he has to pay to the woman. Potter is like Rav Chisda that there's no chiyuv. So mamash and Perish two brises that are arguing. My love tano inenu is, do we not see that this issue is machlokas? And the Gemara says not necessarily. The Rabbah v'alei tanoi. According to Rabbah, you're right. That Rabbah, the one who says chayiv, that he does have to pay to the woman, there's no way he can get out of the brisa that it says potter. He's going to have to agree that the brisa that it says potter is against him. But Ela Rav Chisda milema tanoi, according to Rav Chisda who says potter, do we have to say that as a machlokes tanom, and the one who says chayiv is against him? No, lo kasha. It is possible for Rav Chisda to answer that everyone holds like him. Everyone holds like him that if the husband doesn't get mevlodas, then nobody gets mevlodas. It's not considered a package of money. Is it tzrori? No, it's not money, and therefore, if there's no husband or yorshim, so then it doesn't go to the woman. It's nothing. The brisa says somebody says chayiv. So Rashi explains. The Gemara is going to say the machlokas of Rabbanan and Rishon and Gamliel. What was that all about? That was about shvach v'lodos. Shvach v'lodos. Rishon and Gamliel said that the shvach v'lodos is divided between the husband. The Torah doesn't talk about shvach v'lodos. According to Rishon and Gamliel, the Torah talks about mevlodos. There's no extra pasuk of hora. It's only talking about shvach v'lodos, about mevlodos, and that goes to the husband. And Rav Chisda is right that if there's no husband, then it doesn't go to anybody. There's no chiyuv at all. But shvach v'lodos wasn't even spoken about because shvach v'lodos is a regular monetary obligation, and it goes to both of them. How much a woman is worth more, besides the v'lodos, just the fact that she's big, nafcha shepitma, that she's bigger, and therefore that goes to both of them. And that the Bryce is talking about chayiv. And what does that mean? Reb Shimon Gamliel holds that is regular monetary payment, and therefore it should go to the woman, and that's why it says chayiv. And the Rabbanan, the one who say that the shvach v'lodos is also part of what the Torah is mechadesh, and therefore goes to the husband. And if there's no husband, then it's potter. If it's talking about Shimon Gamliel about the shvach v'lodos, then not only after misa does he have to pay, even if it will be mechayim, also half of it goes to the woman. Nothing happened l'chora because there's no husband. But the Gemara says no, there is a big difference. Mechayim is lapalga lachamisa kulei. If the husband's alive, so then both of them split it. But if there's no husband, so then she gets everything, because you might have looked at it differently. You might have said that even lachamisa she only has rights to half, and the other half there's no chiyuv. No, or goes to his yorshim. It says no, that the din of the shvach v'lodos of Shimon Gamliel, both of them have a right to it. Both of them have full rights to it. So both of them are right. Both of them are alive. So then they'll split it. If the husband dies, so then she'll get the whole thing. So it was possible for Rav Chisda to explain the brisa that it's not talking about the mevlodos, it's talking about the shvach v'lodos, and that's why the woman will get it. But the mevlodos, there's no payment of mevlodos if the husband's not around. Ibo Isema, very similar terms, but the Gemara says Ibo Isema, Hava Rav Shimon Gamliel, Kam Shvach v'lodos, Kam mevlodos. It's very similar to the first terms, but what was the kasha? One brisa says chayiv, one brisa says potter. So the first term says, it says chayiv, Rav Shimon Gamliel. Who says potter? Rabbanan, because there's no such thing as shvach v'lodos. Also is only the Torah's mechadesh. The second Torah is similar. That both of them have B'Shem Gamliel. One is talking about the shvach v'lodos, that's what's high. One is talking about the dmei v'lodos, which is pater, because we're going with Rav Chisda that the dmei v'lodos surely is pater because there's no husband. It's not considered a package of money, the dmei v'lodos, but the shvach v'lodos is, and therefore both of them could be Rav Shem Gamliel. One is the Brisa that says Chai is talking about the shvach v'lodos, while the is pater is talking about the dmei v'lodos. The Gemara just is. We said it already before, but the Gemara is going to speak it out. Amri mishpach v'lodos nishmal d'mei v'lodos u'medav shema gamliel nishmal rabbanan. In other words, what's the difference between shvach v'lodos and d'mei v'lodos? If you say now that according to Shema Gamliel, shvach v'lodos is chayiv, so why don't rabbanan also say the same thing? And what's the difference between d'mei v'lodos and shvach v'lodos? Amri, no comparison. Shvach v'lodos is zachi yoda begabayu zachi b'hu bekulu. D'mei v'lodos lo shachi yoda begabayu lo zachi b'hu klal. Gemara seems to be asking that if, I guess maybe a little different than I said a second ago, that why doesn't he say that even though you only zocha to half, now Shema Gamliel says he's zocha on the whole thing, so the same thing according to Rabbanan, that you won't chayiv anything. So now, but that when there's a husband, when there's no husband, let her be zocha. And the Gemara says that's the difference. That by the shvach v'lodos, which she has a chelik in half of it, so now that there's no husband, she gets the whole thing. That means, in other words, that it's regular moment that both of them have a claim to. If there's a shutif, both of them, each one gets half. If there's no shutif, she gets all of it. But in the middle of this, there's no leave at all. So that's because there's no husband. There's not nischadash and uchiyuv. So it remains a machlok of Chisda and Rabbah. Does the woman get the dmei v'lodos if there's no husband or yarshim? The rest of the Gemara now is a bonus that it talks about a ger that has no yarshim. It's not a subject anymore. We just came in because we spoke about a ger that has no yarshim. What happens to the dmei? But now we're talking about stam regular din, a ger she'en lo yoshim, and everything that he owns is hefker, and anybody that comes gets it. So we can talk about that. I'm just side sugya. Rav Yehuda Savar Rav Nachman. Hamasik b'shtavosav shel ger. A ger had a check. A ger had a check. A ger had money. After a ger dies, if he has no yoshim, he should make sure if a ger sees he's going to die and he has no yoshim, he should make a will in a way that it takes place while he's alive. Okay. But if he doesn't, then after he dies, everything's hefker. Everybody comes and just takes whatever he had. It's all hefker. So the ger had a check, and somebody came and took the check. Can he cash the check? The one who the check is written against, he says, "I got the money first." So the check isn't worthless. The check just means that you could. It's like a starchov, a bill of debt. But as soon as the guy dies, the lover doesn't know him anymore. So the check is worthless. The question the Gemara is going to be: does he have a right to get the paper? Who gets the paper? So nowadays the paper thrown in the garbage, but the paper is worth money. And the question is only what his das is. When a person picks up a check to be zocha from hefker, does he have intention that if it doesn't work on the chov, he can't collect the chov? Does he mean to have a kinyan on the paper at least? That's going to be the issue. Nowadays the question wouldn't come. I mean, that maybe some application might be, but this case itself, no one's going to keep a check that's not worth anything. And the Gemara also says that it wasn't such a valuable thing. But that's where the Gemara goes. If you ever person someday. What? If it's a famous person. He wants the how does it go? If somebody made a kinyan on the shtar, call it a check, a contract of the ger that died, mahu. Someone who picks up a check to make a kinyan on it, he means to get the chov. It doesn't mean the paper, it just means the chov. He's not going to get the money because the lover, whatever, he was ochen it first. And shtar nami lokaned love daiti ashtar, and he didn't have in mind to be koned a shtar, so he doesn't get the paper either. Or dilma daiti nami ashtar. Does he have mind for the shtar also? It's a question of das b'nei adam. If he wanted to, he surely could, but that wasn't his das maybe, unless he was a Talmud Chacham and he knew that she's not going to get him anything. The shtar is not going to get him. So why do you pick it up for? Only put a paper. But the Gemara is assuming that he thought that he's going to get the karka, and he's not going to get the karka. Did he have in mind? At least I'm going to get the paper. Amalei. So Rav Nachman answered Rav Yehuda Sava, Ani Mori, as if to say, tell me, my master, speak up. He needs the paper to put as a bottle stopper. Nowadays we don't use paper as a bottle stopper, but they used to. Sometimes if you have to, you don't have a cock, you don't have a bottle cover, so maybe you use a piece of paper. So he's saying, is that what he's going to do with it? He's thinking about using a piece of paper to cover up his bottle, to stop up his bottle. Yes, yes, he has in mind for that also. That's why it's at least the question. The Gemara doesn't answer the question. The Rav Yevasav asked the question, and Rav Nachman said back to him, like, "What's the question?" He doesn't have in mind. He doesn't have in mind to be koned, and he said he surely doesn't have in mind to be koned. And Rav Yevasav said maybe he does. So that's the end of the Gemara. He didn't answer the question. It sounds a little bit like Rav Yevasav was pushing that maybe he does have. And I see that the letters over here, Taitanami Ashtora, Latsur, the Beis and the Gimel seem to say with Paskin that he does have, he was going to the paper at least. And it's only a question what his das was. You might say nowadays it's different, it changed with the times. People don't need the paper unless you say that it's worth something. But if there's a din Torah about it, there must be that he wanted the paper. And there's a big side to say that he had mind for the paper also. Next halacha. Also, Hilchas gave nothing to do with Thomas. Latsur. Latsur, Latsur. To tie. To tie.
To tie, meaning yes. That when you said yes.
Yes, right. Can you say it again, please? It's not coming through.
I heard you say he's answering yes. That's what I would use it for. But you're saying the word yes is latsur ulatsur.
Right. The latsur, we said he needs it to tie, so he answered him to tie and to tie, which means yes, there's such a style that's what he wants it for. It's interesting to me that the psak seems to be like this. It really just was explaining his question. Rav Nachman said, "Is it a question? It's not even a question." So he said, "Yes, it is a question." But it seems that the poskim took this to mean that that's how the halach is going to be. That he does have in mind for the paper also. New Gemara. Amarav also the same thing about the ger who died has no yorshim and people. Amarav Mashkona Shel Yisrael Biyad Ger or Mesa Ger. The Yisrael borrowed money from a ger, and he gave him a mashkon. So let's say he has a lichter. The ger has a lichter of somebody that owes the money, collateral, and the ger died. And somebody came to take the lichter. And the owner of the lichter comes back and says, "It's my lichter." But he says, "Yeah, but it was a mashkon. Yeah, but the ger died." So the owner of the lichter is going to get it back because he couldn't. It's too late because as soon as the ger dies, it belongs back to the owner. Somebody else came and picked up, he wanted to get it. You take it out of his hands, you give it back to the owner of the life. My time, as soon as the ger dies, then the shibud is off, and it belongs to the owner of the collateral, so he gets it back. How about the opposite case? That the ger is the one who borrowed the money, and he gave a mashkin to Yisrael, and what? And the ger died. Again, Yisrael has the ger's.
Right, so Yisrael keeps it.
So why he should keep it because it's his. It's in his house. It's in his house. You're right. That's going to be the maskana, but it's going to take some time. I'm not sure why. So here it says, and somebody else came. How did he come? He came to the guy's house, the chora, and he took the laughter because he knows that the ger died. So he says, so that the one who had the malva, he's only going according to how much he's owed. He had a collateral. He had the lichter. It's $1,000 lichter. He only had $600 al chov, so he only gets $600 of it. The rest of it goes to the one who got it. But the Gemara says, "Why? I might take the lechatzera. What happened to kinyan chatzera? Kinyan chatzera means anything that's in your chatzera can be koneh. So it's true. $600 belongs to me. That's my chov. But the $400, no, it's not mine. But why not? It's in my chatzera. Why should I be koneh?" The Omar Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina Chaser Shalom Kono Lo Shlomi Daito, because Rabbi Yosef Chanina said that a chaser could be koneh even if you don't know that something is inside. Here he didn't know that the ger died, but the Ma'aseh it's in his chaser. Why shouldn't it be done? Why shouldn't he? Amri. So they said Hacham Ma'askin and the lay say. So this, let's say this is Rashi's pshat. I'm just going to say Rashi, and it's going to be the way Moshe said, but the lay say means that the man is not around. The owner of the chaser, the owner of the is not in town. It's true. Yeah, so what? When he's around, the e-boy makni matzi kani, that if he'd want to make a kinyan himself, he'd be able to. Kanyale nami chatzera. It's also could be koneh. But if he's not around, that he can't physically have made a kinyan by picking it up, the e-boy hu lemikni lo matzi kani, that he wouldn't be able to make a kinyan if he wanted to. Chatzera namu lokanya. The chatzir is also not koneh. Now we never heard of this. We know that a chatzir is koneh shlomi daito as long as it's washed. It has to be mishameres l'daito. It has to be that it's safeguarded. If it's an open field, then it's true that the chatzir is not koneh only if the man standing there. and he's watching that whatever comes into his field should be washed. But if it has a gate around it, it has a wall around it, has a door, a lock, so then we hold it on to be there. So this was a big chiddush to say that a chutz is only going to man's in town. And the Gemara says right away, we don't pass like that. This is a little tricky. The last line is a little tricky. V'ilchasa the leisei v'chatzero the lo kana. So Rashi learns a chiddush to pshat. The whole time we said Chachamay skin the leisei. What the leisei mean till now? The word the leisei over here mean he's not here. Who's not here? The man. I didn't do that in my hands slipped, but I didn't mean to cross it out. I mean to underline it. That means the leisei means that the owner of the house is not around. There's the malva. The malva had a mashkin from the ger who's the lova, and the malva is not around. The leisei. Now Rashi says that this word the leisei is something else altogether. The leisei that only if the object is not in the chotzer. Before the Gemara said that even if the leichter was in the malva's house, but since he's not in town, the malva's not in town, so the house is not kona. But the Gemara is passing the opposite, that he is kona. His house is kona for him even if he's not around. But it has to be that the leichter is in his house. And the only case we're going to say that it's not kona is only the lesser b'chatzero, the low kona, that the mashkin, the leichter is not in his house. So of course not kinyan chotzer. If it's not in the chotzer, it's not kona.
If he borrowed, then it wouldn't be.
What happened?
It's only if he lent. Yeah, I'm saying if it was a mashka.
A mashkin.
If he borrowed it for use, it wouldn't work.
What wouldn't work?
His chotzer being a kona.
Why not?
So
I would think also.
He had the benefit because he already loaned it. So
okay, so it belongs to the ger. Belongs to the ger. And now it's in somebody's house
because it's collateral.
Yes, and therefore now, but that's make a difference. Now the ger died, so it's hefker, so it's in my rishus.
But it had a reason to be there. If it was just
let's say have a reason to be there.
Have to start from scratch.
What's the reason? What's the reason? When the Maya says hefker and it's in my house, I can be connected.
Regardless of the reason.
Right. And the Gemara is having a difficulty. Why does it only get connected most? Why does it get the whole thing? The answer is it's not in his chutzah. So even if it's in his chutzah, he gets the whole thing. Because in your chutzah and you don't need. But the Gemara thought you have to have they should be in town at least. It's not true. You don't have to be. You should be in town. So your house is gone, your chutzah is gone, even if you're not around. But if it's not on your chutzah, you're not kona because it's not on your chutzah. Right. But still, you're kona connected most. If you still kona,
is funny though.
Right, very funny.
Because beyond Mashkodesh Yisrael.
Oh, that means that it means that the biyad doesn't mean it's in his hand. That right doesn't have to mean that it's in his chassid. It means that he has a mashkin. Where's the mashkin? Where is it? And also, even more bothers me is the word the leisei. That a mamish here leisei means that he's not around, and then they could have said it much different. Okay, that's what Rashi learns. Leisei v'chatzero means that the object is a sort of Rashi, which Tosfos argues in Rashi. The leisei she'ein, this leisei means she'ein amalva, and then this leisei means the lamash going b'chatzero. That's a very big dochak in the words. Leisei b'chatzero, and here was leisei be'ir, whatever. And Rashi also puts the word in city. That's also Tosfos argues in Rashi. I noticed. Where's the Tosfos over here? Fish per contrast, no, not that one. I'm sorry. The last of fish per the mashkon koi. And Taisa says at the end, well, the kamma bilchas the leisei b'chotzer abala chotzer koi. Climb actually knew the shanim. So that Taisa goes into that as the mishtamers, and I didn't see the whole Taisa, but I saw that in the words he wasn't happy. He doesn't say like Rashi. Well, the Taisa points out that according to the Havamin over here, that the balachos is not around. It's against the maskana Bava Metzia, and Bava Metzia says you don't have to be around as long as the mishtamer is good enough. Well, we know that we can't have yachis it's not what and he has to be there. Okay, so he learns that strand to the Gemara that he has to be there. That if the chutz is not mishtamer, he has to be in order to wash it. Okay, so as we had some bonus over here about the being called the Chanachasim over here, that ain't no Yoshim, which suggests do we have about that? One was about the paper of a check that he doesn't get the whole, but he get the paper, and then we had two suggests: the mashkin of the Yisrael biyad ger. So then it belongs to the original owner. Even if somebody grabs it, it still belongs to the original owner. As soon as the chov is off, the ger dies, the chov is off. In the last case is that if the mashkin of the ger that the Yisrael has, so If it's in his chasr, he gets the whole thing. If it's not in his chasr, he gets connected how much he was owed, then the person who picked it up, he's going to get the rest. Okay, we'll stop here. And we'll see you tomorrow about Bor. Yashikov, everybody.
Adoraba, good Shabbos. Maybe I'll see
Thank you.
people. I'll be
Thank you.
I'm
Shabbos.
going away for Shabbos.